So from a strategic viewpoint, why is the that old marketing playbook of broad stroke segmentation just not breaking through the noise and not effective?
There's we're increasingly in a digital world where we're looking at echo chambers of our algorithms and our own content. There's fewer of those shared cultural moments to build personalization around. AI is really leveling the playing field on creative output. So differentiating is going to take more in terms of how a brand shows up, how they activate their data, the relationship they build with their customer. I was actually just at an event with a bunch of other B2B marketers this week, and we were joking about how sad it was that we were all sold this very shallow version of personalization, which was just like, "Hi, first name.
Right.
Nice to see that you work at company." Like, that is not personalization, and people are today's consumers are digitally savvy, and they want and they expect a lot more of that. So I really, yeah, 100% agree with you. The future is going to be towards more and more laser focused and pinpoint personalization. But I do wanna call out, like, this is very much still like a crawl, walk, run thing. There's still a lot to be gained from the sort of broader strokes motions. We actually at Transcend did some research and put out a report earlier this year where we surveyed marketing, security, and privacy professionals. In that research, only 42% of those respondents even told us that they were using preference data to do things like personalized campaigns, personalized offers. So there's still so much untapped opportunity here. But I think to put on the consumer hat, this is where consumer expectations are going. This is where digital behavior is pointing to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think, consumers, even if they don't know how marketing works from, the detailed view, I think they're they're savvy enough to know they know I call it substitute, like first, insert first name here. Like that's to your point, that's not
Yeah.
personalization. That's like substitution of hello or whatever. And
Yeah.
so, I think they're savvy and they're getting savvier as well.
Hmm.
I think to point to the report that you recently put out as well, one of the other things that I found interesting in there is just most companies have massive amounts of what's referred to as shadow data. And, just curious if you could talk a little bit more about that and just, how does this undermine or affect that consumer trust that's so critical here as well?
Yeah. And instinctual. So shadow data, like that's really data that's collected without awareness, or maybe it's ungoverned. Maybe it was collected ethically in this one use case in this one channel, but it is living in a certain silo within the business or within the company's data ecosystem. So all that shadow data floating throughout an organization's tech stack, that creates unseen risks that erodes transparency. And as a marketer, as an operator, you don't always know what data is permissible to use. And then we like to, at Transcend, we like to talk about this concept of like over permissioning and under permissioning. Over permissioning means you're using data, you're using, personal data where you probably shouldn't, or you're using it in a way where it wasn't consented to. And that is what, leads to of course, the regulatory risks and just like overreaching, but also just erodes transparency because to your point, like customers are smart now. They know when personalization is shallow and just like a dynamic field substitution, but they also can instinctively sense, when brands overreach or they mishandle data. And that leads to far graver consequences, opt outs, people just like churning off of your brand or just completely blocking ads. And that just kills personalization like right at the source.